Hello, it is Chris from Little Tech Girls Digital Homestead. It is Sunday, August 24th. I have been in the kitchen all day. It is now 4:34 p.m. I'm tired. I decided to take a break and come outside and do something I've been putting off for a long time, which is do my GreenStalk growing tips video. So I want to talk about some of my tips that I've learned in my almost 5 years of growing with GreenStalks. And as you may or may not know, I now have 17 of them, although a couple of them still are not planted up. But I want to tell you my tips, what I've learned, lessons that I learned this year, and what I will change for next year. Let me go have a seat in the garden because, as mentioned, I'm tired. And then we can chat. Speaking of the garden, it is wild. One of the lessons that I will talk about is to feed often. If you look at this GreenStalk, my sweet peppers, you will see the yellowing on the leaves. That is because life has been so busy. I have not fed this tower like I should have. Look at that. See some damage from some kind of pest. Which happens, and I hate it because I probably won't use that pepper. If I see any sort of bite or anything on them, I don't want them. So yeah, but anyway, when you are growing in a GreenStalk, and this is further down the list, but I thought I'd talk about it now since we're passing by this, or any type of container, including like these metal tubs, you want to feed every 2 to 3 weeks because containers lose nutrients faster than raised beds, okay? Over here, we see my tomatoes at the top looking just beat down. And that's because they are microdorts, which are determinate. And when you grow microdorts outside, after a while, they start giving up because they are determinate. If I was growing these in the house, in my aerial garden like I normally do, they would keep going for 2 years or more if I wanted them to, okay? So let me go sit down and I'm gonna go down this list from the start. Okay, I'm settled over here in the shaded part because it's the afternoon and the sun is blaring real hard right here, and I don't want it to mess up the camera. So, when you decide to get a GreenStalk, now you have the option of 2 sizes. Actually 3. The original, the leaf, or the inventor's bundle. The one that you get when you're getting your first one can depend a lot on what you want to grow. The original has 10-inch deep pockets, which allows you to grow deep-rooted things like tomatoes. Don't go indeterminate tomatoes though. Peppers, eggplant, and even things like carrots, as long as your carrots are not going to get past 10 inches. The leaf pockets are only 7 inches deep. So this is great for herbs, lettuces, things that grow above the soil like radishes, and of course anything that you can grow in the leaf you can also grow in the original, and you can experiment if you want to. For example, I've grown cabbage in my original and it gets to a nice size. If I do it in the leaf, the plant stays much smaller, although I do get something, okay? This year I did a whole tower of microdorf tomatoes in a leaf. So that's 42 plants, and they did fantastic until the heat and humidity took over and blight kind of got the best of them. And plus they are determinate, which we just passed by. Now they look pretty much like crap. Some of the plants are still producing, and the ones at the bottom that were kind of shaded out by the beds around are not doing as horrible as the ones on top that got hit with all the rain and humidity. So that's something to think about. Let me open my list of tips. So we covered that, and I am not going to be able to count right now. This one right here, this is an original. That's the Epic Oasis color, which I have full of Swiss chard. This one here, you can barely see it because it's so full, but this is an original. It's full of peppers, gorgeous peppers, which we'll take a closer look at, and that is an original in Luscious Green. This was actually my first one. This is the one they sent me back in 2021 when I became an affiliate. And one of the first things I planted was bush beans, which did well, but now I love using them for pepper towers. This is about 25 varieties of different jalapenos. Right here, this is orange. And some of them are really interesting. So like I said, we'll talk about that later. Get a base. I'm going to splice this video together with some images of my bases and stuff like that. Right now, I just want to talk it all out. So when you get a GreenStalk, it does not come with the base. You have the option of getting a base if you want to be able to spin it or roll it around. The mover base is the original base, and you get that. It comes with wheels. Hi, little bird. It comes with wheels, so you can roll it around on your patio, deck, driveway, or you can carefully use the wheels to turn it around. If you get the ultimate spinner base, which is what I have on all of these here in the garden, then you can spin it like so. Okay, so you can harvest from all sides, look at it on all sides. But since these are in my garden on pavers, I do not have the wheels installed because I don't need to roll it across my gravel. Okay, that makes sense, right? So if you want to do both, get the ultimate spinner base and add the wheels. If you don't care about being able to just spin it like that in one spot, you can get the mover base and still carefully turn it with the wheels. Okay, consider buying supports or trellises. So right here on my pepper tower, I have the new GreenStalk supports, which are great for plants that get a little hefty or that need to stand up and need some support. Look at this. Look how gorgeous. This plant is loaded. That is a purple Tiger X. No longer purple because they have progressed to ripening red, but they are pretty. But let me tell you, I am loving these trellises. The supports, the original supports, is the one that goes all the way around. Oh, Jesus. These birds are cracking me up today. I don't know what it is. Sometimes they just get crazy. I know it's migration time, so maybe that's why. Anyway, they don't bother me. They just like to buzz around. Okay, next. Put it on a level surface. Now I'm going to try to do this without messing up my camera too much. But if you look down here, as I mentioned, I have my ultimate spinner base on a paver. Okay, that is a 24-inch round paver because I like the way the round ones look. Before I put the GreenStalk in place, I actually use leveling sand and a level to make this area flat so that the GreenStalk would sit on top. And all of the ones over here in my main garden are like that. They are all on round pavers with the ultimate spinner base. The ones that I have out in the yard that are around my fence garden, because of the space that I was working with, they are on I think 16-inch square pavers or 12-inch, one of those, because of where I needed to fit them. The ones on my patio have the ultimate spinner base with wheels so that I can move them around if I need to. But if you are putting it anywhere on grass, on dirt, on sand, on rocks, anywhere like that, make sure that it is level so that when that gust of wind comes through, like we get at this time of year in the fall during tornado season, or depending on where you live, it's nice and sturdy. Okay, it's going to have a little bit of movement, just a little bit, but you don't want that gust of wind to come by and knock it over, which has happened to me before when I had one that wasn't level. As long as it's level, it'll probably be okay. But one thing that you can do, if you have them like I do on your patio and you know that a big storm or something is coming, roll it up against your house to give it some protection, and it'll be a little more stable. All right, once you have your GreenStalk, you have your spot leveled, you know exactly where it's going to go, be sure you assemble it correctly. Okay, it comes with instructions. There are also plenty of YouTubes out there on how to do it, but basically you get 4 main parts. You have your tiers, you have your gray watering discs, which is in the middle of each tier. You have your top watering reservoir that goes at the top, and you want to make sure that when you put it together, everything is seated properly, and that these little feet that are right in here on each part are locked in. Each tier is going to have 6 of these, And you want to go around the whole thing, and you want to make sure it's locked in on each part, okay? And after that, it's time to fill it up. So I personally, because I don't want to have to carry tiers full of soil, when I'm doing it the first time, I spread them all out. I fill my tier with soil, the bottom tier. I put it in place. I put the gray watering disc on. I put the next tier on, and then I put the soil in there, okay? But, you know, it doesn't matter. If you're strong and you can pick it up, you can do that. I've done it both ways. And when it's time to amend my green stalks for the next season, I unstack them. I mix the soil, I amend the soil, I add more soil when they are disassembled, and then I put it back together. So whichever way works for you. Another thing that goes with that is when it comes to plant time, if you are putting in established plants or seedlings, I like to put the green stalk in place first and then plant them so that I won't crush my seedlings. Obviously, if you're doing seeds or something, it doesn't matter. Some people like to put the plants in place and then put the green stalk together. That's fine too. You find which way works for you. No matter what soil you are using, I say amend it, because you want your plants to get off to a nice strong start. Most potting soil, or potting mix rather, comes with some amendments, but it does not hurt to add more. And just to prove that point, when I planted up my green stalks this May, I amended at the beginning. I always use worm castings, bone meal, blood meal, and organic granular fertilizer. That's my standard. Depending on what potting soil I'm using, I might use some mushroom compost just to kind of even it out. For example, some soils that you buy might be kind of woody. Like I noticed that about Kellogg's raised bed and potting mix. I think that's what it's called. It's like mulch. That's not soil to me, that's mulch. So I mixed that with some compost to give it more of a soil consistency, and then I use that. Now I have used all kinds of brands. I like Pro Mix, but at this time of year, especially in my area, I can usually get Miracle Grow potting mix or garden soil on a deep discount at Walmart. $1, $3, $5 a bag. And although garden soil is not good for the green stalk by itself, you can use that if you happen to find it on clearance to mix up potting mix by mixing it with something like peat moss or cocoa coir. I prefer peat moss, perlite, vermiculite, and then you add your amendments, okay? If you are just starting out, you don't want to do any mixing or anything, just buy the good potting mix. Pro Mix, and there are some others that GreenStalk recommends that are on their website. Once you have your plants in there, you have your things growing, as mentioned, you want to feed it, okay? Like I showed you at the one in the beginning, it was clear that I have not fed that green stalk. All right, sorry, I got interrupted by the husband. So where was I? Feeding. When I see people in groups posting comments that their plants are not doing well, this could be growing in ground, in a raised bed, in a green stalk, in a pot, in a container, in a 5-gallon bucket, and you see that yellowing like I showed you on my plants, or they say they're just not growing. My first question is always, have you fed them? Lots of times they will say no, or they will say I fed them when I first planted them in May. And yes, okay, that gets them off to a nice start, but eventually those nutrients are going to run out. And as mentioned, that happens faster in containers, especially if you get a lot of rain or you have irrigation or you water often. Every time you water, every time it rains, nutrients are running out of that soil in the container. Since the container does not hold as much soil as a raised bed, it's not holding on to that max amount of nutrients. So you want to feed it. And the green stalk, the easiest way to do that is just to use a hose-in sprayer attachment. I have like the Miracle Grow Organics one, or I have one from another company where I mix up my own fertilizer and I put it in there and just hold that into the top of the green stalk and water as normal, and then I can water each pocket. It's something I just purchased to up my gardening game, but I need to still install it. I'll probably try to do that tomorrow, even though it's almost September, is a fertilizer injector. I think that's what it's called. I think so, yeah. So basically, this is a tank that you put on your irrigation system, which we're going to talk about my irrigation system another day. And you fill it with your fertilizer, and when it waters your garden, it pushes the fertilizer through. So I don't have to do it manually. That will save me so much time, because I don't remember how many raised beds, like 12 raised beds in here in the main garden and 7 green stalks here, and everything's on irrigation now. So if that fertilizer can push through to here and then push through when I do the patio garden, I will be so happy, and my plants will be happier. So feed, okay, however you do it. If you use the 2-gallon old school waterer, if you use the hose-in sprayer, if you can hook it into your irrigation, just be sure to feed, okay? And you want to use a water-soluble fertilizer in your green stalk, just because it's easier. Because once these things are full of plants, like here we see a little soil in this pocket, but if we look at these peppers over here, there's no way I'm going to easily get in here into each pocket and put a granular fertilizer in there. It just doesn't make sense, okay? Let's see. Follow the planting guidelines for what grows best in each model. We talked about that already, but the main thing you want to think about is like per pocket planting, okay? People are always asking, how many lettuces should I plant per pocket? 1, because you want to get a nice spread on that lettuce. If you're going a heading lettuce like iceberg or butterhead or something, you want it to have that room to head up. If you put more than 1 in the pocket, they're going to be fighting for space. For something like radishes, GreenStalk recommends 3 per pocket. I've done 4 or 5 when I've done the smaller varieties of radishes. But if you're planting something that gets large, like beets has the potential to get large. You can do 3 per pocket, but I've seen some people on YouTube grow some massive beets. So if you want to leave it room to get bigger, do only 1, okay? And now, if you grow strawberries, I have a strawberry tower over on my patio, which so far I have failed miserably with getting those strawberries to come back in the next year, which is one reason I moved it to the patio this year. So GreenStalk has a full video on their YouTube on how you should protect your strawberries when the end of fall rolls around and when it's time to winterize them. Basically, you want to protect them, okay? So from what I've seen, you can mulch them depending on what you have them in. Some people break the tiers down and stack them in a raised bed and then cover them with mulch. I think what I'm going to do is put the frost cover on and roll it up against my house, which will provide a little bit of warmth. The key is to keep them from getting deep frost, okay? Because they are in a container, a plastic container, and they are close to the edge, which doesn't provide a lot of insulation during the winter. Same thing with garlic. People ask about planting garlic in a green stalk. If you live somewhere like I do in Chicago, that'll never work. I've had garlic go poof trying to plant it in a raised bed because I didn't plant it deep enough and didn't protect it. And again, the pockets here on the green stalk, that garlic's gonna be right there. It's not gonna have enough protection from the frost, and it'll just go mushy and disappear for the most part. So let's walk around and have a look at my actual green stalks, which, just disclaimer, as mentioned, this is August 24th. This is the time of year when the plants start to look a little beat down. But we're going to talk about lessons that I learned from this planting year, other than remember to feed even when you're busy, and things I'm going to change for next year. So we will start here where we were already. That's my Swiss chard tower. And the past couple weeks have been really busy, so I have done almost 0 garden maintenance. I've just been running out here harvesting important things like tomatoes, peppers, and zucchini, because you don't want those to get away from you. But everything else has been left to its own devices. So I need to do a lot of pruning of dead leaves, and I need to harvest some chard, and as mentioned, I need to feed them. I need to harvest a whole bunch of peppers. Look at these gorgeous peppers. That is a lemon giant. Up here we have giant orange. Down here we have some orange jalapeno. Oh, that's pumpkin spice. I love that one, pumpkin spice. And this one, which I already showed you, Purple Tiger X, which they are beautiful. Next to that, we have some more. I think we have Park Whopper, which are some big ones. Let's see if I can get that in the shot. Nice big ones. I harvested a few of these because I was making a dish that needed some peppers the other day. But this tower is absolutely loaded. And I am going to harvest them this week, finally. I've been so busy with other stuff that I tend to leave the peppers to the end unless I just need a few for dishes, because they can take it. They can stay out here. They will ripen. They take a long time to ripen, and then I can come grab them when I need to, okay? Over here, this one is a mismatch of things, and as you can see, it looks like it needs water. Now, all of my green stalks are on the watering system except this one, that one, and that one. They are on the hacked watering system that someone on YouTube did, okay? Those two, it works great. You can see they look happy and healthy other than needing to be fed, but they have clearly had water. But for some reason on this one, on this side, where I tapped it into my main irrigation, the water does not flow through right. So I need to fix that for next year or just put it on the regular GreenStalk watering system. Over here, we have another tower of different things, which are doing pretty well. Some stuff has started going to seed. Look at this here. This is ridiculous. I have never seen, I think that's dill, get that tall before. And it is crazy, okay? And in this tower too, you see what I was talking about, needing to feed. My eggplant is suffering. This one needs to be harvested, but I still have enough time in the season that I can clip off all of the dead on all of these sickly looking plants. So you see new leaves coming up here at the top. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to give it a good feeding this week, and at least we will finish the season strong. Oh, I can't turn this one because it's on the traditional GreenStalk watering system, which means no rotating, which is a reason why I wanted to try the hacked one. But we've got some roselle in here. We've got some microdorf tomatoes. We've got the eggplant, a few different varieties of eggplant. And this one is in a good spot. I can walk through here, and I can walk through here if I need, except for whatever this is that is taking over. I think that might be a carrot that has gone to seed. And this is my first time experiencing that. But look at these. These are huge. I'm gonna have to look that up and see. And if we go back around this way, over here is the microdorf tower that I mentioned, which was doing fantastic from the start. Now most of the plants look sickly. See these here? It's time for me to start pulling some of these or give them another hard prune. I did do a hard prune not too long ago. And when your plants get blight like this, once you give them that hard prune, you can try treating with copper fungicide, which I will do, but some of these will just be pulled. So a lesson that I learned in this tower is when you're going to plant something like that, tomatoes, be sure to provide enough airflow around it. This wasn't here, and this wasn't here. There was space. There was space for me to walk cleanly through here. I planted a squash plant over here, which ended up being massive. And on this side, this bed is full of tomatillos that you see have completely come over and blocked this way. So the green stalk is kind of getting smothered a bit. And that might be part of the problem in this space. Although at this time of year, and with the amount of heat and humidity and rain that we have had anyway, blight is pretty common. Look at my beans. Got purple prodded pole beans and Chinese red noodle beans, which should have been harvested. I'll get to them. Then this tower here, this is on the traditional GreenStalk watering system, sorta. I had to tie it into my irrigation, so part of it is a DIY solution, but it goes up into the tower. And let me tell you, I love this because I do not have to manually water anything in my main garden at all. I set it up with 3 zones, which I'll explain later, but you see it come into the garden right there. So yeah, that's one zone, the buckets and the tubs. This side is second zone, this side is third zone, and it works fantastic. And let me tell you, having your garden on irrigation makes all the difference in the world with growth. You see all that green, you see those huge plants. That's because they are getting consistent water every day. Now, if I just fed them regularly like I was supposed to, imagine what they would look like. So this tower, as already mentioned, my only lesson here is to feed them and maybe protect from pests. I really wonder what did that. There's things that love to nibble little holes in your peppers. Grasshoppers, worms, hornworms. I really wish we didn't have to deal with all that as gardeners, but we do. Okay. Here's another GreenStalk over here, which I barely planted up. But there's a few things in there. There's some rosemary, some lemongrass. This is lemon verbena. And then some volunteer shisho that I moved over. Oh, I can't turn it. There we go. I see an onion. And that's it. I didn't plant up the rest of those pockets yet. Over here we have my bush bean tower, which is doing pretty well. Some of these should have been harvested. Now, sometimes on purpose, I will leave a few to brown and go to seed so that I can collect the seeds. Others, I harvest to eat and cook and can. This right here, I'm gonna get rid of this. This might be changed out to a GreenStalk by next year. And the lesson that I learned here on the patio is just like I was mentioning over there in the garden. I need to put more space between these. They're all on irrigation, either on the GreenStalk watering system. But then the space got taken up. I wasn't planning to walk through there, but I just need to provide more space between them for airflow. So I have plenty of space to work with over here. I can move that pot over or put it somewhere else. And then I can extend the tubing for my irrigation system so I can put more space between these, okay? See, over on this side, it's not so bad. There's space here, although I might still put a little more space between there. But this is a leaf, like I mentioned, with cabbage in it. Look how small and cute. If that wasn't an original, it would be bigger. And you can also see that the cabbage worms have done a job on that right there in the middle. This was the first tower that I planted up in the spring, and I still haven't cleaned out the things that are going to seed. I need to do that. Some things I let go to seed on purpose, others not so much. I just didn't get around to it. But let me show you something absolutely beautiful in this one. Look at that nasturtium plant. That is one plant coming out of a bottom pocket. That's the Alaska mix, and I have never seen that many flowers on nasturtiums before. Isn't that amazing? Some other things in here is my Cuban oregano. We've got some kohlrabi there. There's some kale. But this is a leaf, so this was kind of an experimental tower because, as mentioned, some things you put in a leaf won't get as big as they would elsewhere, except apparently that nasturtium because it is super happy. Over here is my strawberry tower. That's a lilac original in basket weave. And these are doing great now. I got them planted super late. Didn't expect to get any strawberries this year. Didn't really plan on it. Kind of just wanted to get them established. And now I have all these runners to work with that I can root to make new plants. I may take some inside for the winter, put them in my hydroponics, and then all the pockets that didn't make it, I stuck onions inside of. So I will have some nice onions coming out of there. And then let's go around this way. This is a razzleberry original. Same deal here as the others. Needs to be fed. Other than that, not doing too badly, except for powdery mildew. All of my greens over here on the patio, even in this Vigo garden planter, got really bad powdery mildew. That's another thing that happens with heat and humidity. So tomato plants get blight. Greens get powdery mildew. So my solution for this, I might pull the plants, but I think what I'm going to do is just cut off all of the affected leaves all of them, like all the way down to the nubs. And then I will spray the copper fungicide and allow new leaves to grow from the bottom. Same thing with all of these over here, okay? We've got other things in here that are doing great, like some celery up there. We've got some peppers up here, microdwarf tomatoes here. Again, I just need to do some major pruning, harvesting, and feeding. And like I said, next year there will be more space here, especially if I get rid of that thing. I don't know if I'm going to keep it and move it somewhere else or give it away. We will see. This tower, sage. We've got 3 types of sage here. 2 of them doing fantastic. This one decided to just give up on life for no reason. It happens sometimes. Plants get tired and they decide they don't want to live. Over here we have one of my blueberry GreenStalks. This is actually an inventor's bundle. So we've got 3 originals down there. And then we have the leaf tiers up here. And this is a mix of things. These are plants that I rescued and or moved from other places. And a lot of these microdwarf tomatoes came from smashed tomatoes that I was growing in the house in hydroponics and forgot about. So I smushed them into soil, let them germinate, and then I planted them in various places around the garden. So that's what you see here. There's some beautiful tomatoes growing there. Some of these peppers were rescued for like $1 from Walmart. And then we have beans up here that came from a local nursery, which are starting to look great. I believe it's Italian Romano. So this tower is filling out nicely, and I will be harvesting off of this one into fall, since most things in here were started later than everything else in the garden. Just need to remember to rotate it every now and then. Wow, see? And I need to water it. Oh yeah, back here, not yet on irrigation. So I still do have to manually water, and you can see some things obviously need water. So I need to do that today before I go inside. This tower over here, I just stuck extra onion sets that I had in here the other day. Here's one here that looks like it made its way to the surface. If they all stay in here, I will have some late onions. But as we can see, I believe probably thanks to some squirrels, some of them are no longer planted. Several of them. But I'll get what I can. Look at So what I meant to do but didn't do was I meant to come back and put the GreenStalk covers on. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, I used these before. So you get these little domes on the GreenStalk site. So when you put in your baby seedlings or onion sets or seeds, you put that on and it protects them. So I need to find the rest of mine and put them all on there. Over on that side, there are 2 GreenStalks. But we don't need to go over there because I did not plant a thing in them on purpose this year. There's just been so much going on that I did not put anything in there. So, I don't know how helpful my rambling was. Hopefully this video will make sense when I edit it, but I just wanted to share a few of the things that I have learned while growing in GreenStalks. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yes, there is. Someone asked today in a post about should you put taller plants on the top or the bottom, okay? So, let's talk about that once this plane goes over. Here we have lemongrass. It's on the top of the GreenStalk. It is doing fantastic. It's beautiful. Imagine if I would have put that on the bottom. It would have grown 3-4 tiers up and shaded everything out, okay? So if you're growing something like this that mostly grows straight up, you want to put that on the top so it doesn't cover up other plants. If we think about my nasturtium that I just showed you, that trails down. So when you're growing something like that, you want to put that on the bottom so it doesn't trail down and cover plants underneath it, okay? Same thing with something like celery and peppers. Now this celery is not very tall and these peppers are not very tall. But if you were growing a variety that gets really, really tall, you could put that on the top so it doesn't shade stuff out. If you're doing a whole tower of microdwarf tomatoes or something like that, it really doesn't matter, okay? So what you want to do is look at your seed packet, see if it gives you an estimated height, and just use your judgment with what else you are planting with it, and if you think it's going to shade it out or not. Otherwise, just experiment and have fun. That's part of the GreenStalk growing fun, is actually trying new things and not really, sticking to all the rules all the time. Although this one, I've seen other people say to drill extra holes in the gray discs. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. That is not necessary at all. If for some reason you do find that your GreenStalk needs more water, water it more often, or water the pockets direct, which does happen when it's really, really hot in the summer, like we've had this ridiculous weather this year. The GreenStalk watering system works very, very well. On all of these GreenStalks where I have the watering system installed and tied into my irrigation, as of right now, since it's been so hot, it is set to water twice a day, okay? I don't water them manually. I don't go extra water the pockets or anything like that. I let it take care of it, and they all get watered very well, and it works, okay? If I think of anything else, I might add it during editing, but I think I am done rambling for now. And as you would know, GreenStalk is always having a sale. They are having one right now in celebration of the launch of a new color called Blackberry, and returning color, which is terracotta. So everything Blackberry is 25% off. You can head over to the site using my link below. I appreciate you using my affiliate link, and you can use my code LTG10 for an extra $10 off your order of $75 or more. And if you decide to buy one, let me know. And if you have any questions about growing in GreenStalk, let me know. I'm going to put some useful links below of guides that I have written in the past that'll help you out.